Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus. We're here live here on YouTube. So if you can hear me, let me know in the comments. So this is our weekly live Q&A. So we do one of these every week. And so with this one here, I go through all of the questions that have been sent in by our Patreon and our YouTube channel members. So a huge thank you to all of them for their questions this week. There is a lot of them. So I'm going to try and get to them all. I'm going to try and be jumping in and out between all of the live chat. So this one might go a little bit longer because, as I said, there is a lot of questions. You can hear me. So big hello. We've got Matt. We've got Baba Trolling. We've got Tom. We've got Ryan. We've got Joshua. We've got Matt. We've got Sosuna. Hello to all of you guys. Thank you very much. So feel free to keep putting your questions in. So a couple of bits of housekeeping. Next week's Q&A will not be live. It's going to be pre-recorded. So if you're a Patreon and a YouTube channel member, look out for a post coming up later today asking for questions that can be recorded a little bit earlier, and then I'll be live back again in 2 weeks. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. So this one, obviously, there is a lot of talk about Hulu this week, because I'm just going to do a quick brief overview. So what's going to be happening is Disney announced during its quarterly financial results that Disney is going to be offering a single app experience where it's going to be bringing Hulu into Disney Plus later this year. They're still going to be available independently and on their own, but it's going to be Hulu content will be available within Disney Plus. Now, there is so many questions, so many things going on with all this. There was a lot of news, but this is very much the start of I would say it's the start of the merger. It's not a full merger. It's not happening straight away because Comcast still owns 33% of Hulu. And that's why it's kind of separate, but it's going to be part of it. So we're going to be seeing some big changes, I think, over the next few months as we start getting prepared for a big shift. We're going to definitely see a new version of Disney Plus. They've been working on that for a number of years. So yeah, there's a lot of questions. So I'm going to try and jump in and out between the pre-done questions and the live questions. Because there's a lot of them. But like I said, I'm going to try and go through. This one's probably going to be a little bit longer than normal because, there's a whole host of questions here. So let's just start at the top. So a big thank you to Azir for his support in kind of giving the Q&A a little bit of a fresh makeover, new intro screens and some bits and pieces. So a big thank you to him for his help. So that's that. But let's jump into first off. Baba says, what do you think of that about Hulu is going to add onto Disney Plus? Is Disney trying to get people onto the Disney bundle? So this new thing with Hulu and Disney Plus, this is a number of different things. First off, this is a consolidation of the market. This is about bringing in Disney Plus needs more content, and it needs general entertainment content, and Disney are looking to consolidate. They're looking to save costs, and they can do that by merging the two together, but they can't do so just yet because of Comcast. So we're kind of getting this weird add-on through the bundle, and the bundle obviously is where they've been finding a lot of success in doing this bundle of Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. And so this is going to be a new way of making sure that the bundle is what keeps you locked in, and you're going to have more options. General entertainment on Disney Plus with the content from Disney Plus is going to be very powerful. That's what Babaga said. The bundle is very much a key thing that they have been finding that's been working. But because of the success of Disney Plus internationally with the addition of Star Brand, they know that this is how it's going to go on. So a couple of quick questions here. So this was a good one. This one came up. So will the Star brand change to Hulu internationally, or will the Hulu brand change the Star in the US? So this one got asked, and I actually think this is very complicated because this whole Hulu situation could still be going on maybe in another year's time, because it depends on how quickly Disney get the purchase of Comcast, the Comcast stake through. There's a whole host of different stuff. So this one might not necessarily be instantly quick, but it's going to be easier once they've got Hulu like within Disney Plus as like an add-on, and then they can do something with it later on. Or they might even keep it like separate with tiers and stuff. A bit like how I think Peacock did that, where you kind of had like basic and premium. And so you kind of unlocked more content. Eventually, I think they'll sort it all out, but it's going to take a little bit of time to do. As far as internationally, I would not be at all surprised if the Hulu name gets if they change Hulu to Star, or they just drop the Star branding altogether internationally. That would be one way of doing it. They've already pretty much been doing this here in the UK. If you look at any advertisement like the new Full Monty one, there is no mention of Star. They're still using it a little bit down in Australia. Now, I don't know if they are experimenting in each country just to do some tests to see how people react, and that might be a thing that they're doing. But here in the UK, they don't really use the Star branding. So I could see it becoming Hulu, but I could also see them just making new hubs for 20th Century FX and just kind of losing the Star brand, because that's unnecessarily complication internationally. But it also does have an extra thing of having the Star brand you could drop into it. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we ended up with like a Hulu button and you clicked on that and then it expanded out into it. Lady Jennifer Snow says, I'm very happy for Hulu to be bundled into Disney Plus. I'll watch way more Hulu than Disney Plus. That is going to be the key thing. If you are watching more of the Hulu within Disney Plus, you're more likely going to be subscribed to both or keep the subscription going. So Suna says, which Hulu content will be on Disney Plus? We really don't know. There could be a lot of there's thousands of shows and films on Hulu. I do not think that all of them are going to end up being on Disney Plus through the bundle. I think they've talked about wanting to get rid of. They're going to be doing like maybe $2 billion worth of cuts and looking to kind of really hit removing stuff from streaming services. And I think Hulu is where this is going to be, because Hulu, if they can get rid of a load of stuff that's costing them money that they are paying other companies for, that's one way of doing it. So this is it, because as Joshua has just said, a lot of the Hulu content is actually third party. So therefore, that does have, they might be getting rid of some of this stuff ahead of it all. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. Surely they will be mainly removing non-owned Disney. That would be my guess. But I also wouldn't be at all surprised if they removed like underperforming originals or recently cancelled shows. You know, maybe something like The Company You Keep or Alaska Daily. That would be prime real estate for that to be gone, and to save costs because of paying people. So that's very, very interesting. So I'm going to carry on with a few more of these live ones. I said there's a lot of different questions. As Tom says, will it be split into different brands? I don't know. I think the brand system makes more sense to kind of move away from the Hulu brand, but it's very tricky with how this works. And as Josh said, the Hulu Disney Comcast thing has been going on for years. I think everyone is kind of glad we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we always knew 2024 was going to be the year, but it was really nice, really refreshing, because I've been waiting for this news for ages, but we're now seeing them pushing forward with the idea that Hulu becoming an add-on to Disney Plus through one app experience, and I suspect ESPN Plus will be doing the same. It's all part of the start of the merge between the two, but it's a very weird one. And as you said, it's not helped with the pandemic. Ryan says, does Disney Plus have good content? Well, I think so. I mean, I think there's lots of great stuff on there. Let's just see here. So Joshua says, I doubt they'll change the name of Hulu to Star as it opens up the Stars argument again. It will probably be better to drop the Star entirely than rename Hulu as a. Yeah, I think it would make more sense for them, like you said, start dropping the Star brand internationally. In the US, no point renaming Hulu to Star, because there's no real benefit there. Hulu's got a big name in the US. That would probably not be the best one. So we did this one. Let's see here. Caleb says, I told my family about the combined app. My parents are happy about it since that means Hindu content will be on Disney Plus. Keep in mind they're not fans of Marvel and Star Wars and usually watch next year. I do wonder how much of that content from Hotstar is going to start coming over, because with that, we're going to start seeing, are they going to be adding that globally? Because that could be a way of them like closing down to do all of this. Ricardo says, it's amazing to hear that for a few months there is a union of Disney Plus and Hulu in the US. It is really good. Hulu Live Dread. I'm guessing you mean Hulu Live Dead. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the Hulu Live because we got a lot of questions on that as well. So I'm gonna leave that one just for now. We'll get into that one. So Suna says, will they add Modern Family on Disney Plus after the deal is over in January 2024? Right. So with regards to Modern Family, what I suspect is going to happen is if you are a Hulu subscriber and you go into Disney Plus, you're going to be able to watch Modern Family within Disney Plus, as long as if you've got a Hulu subscription. So that is going to be the way of getting it into it. They're probably going to start not. They're probably not going to start adding things in like Modern Family. The whole rule book is out the window. We really don't know what's going to be happening. Everything is just pure speculation at this point. We really don't know. So it's just literally just like educated guesses. But you will be able to get access to Modern Family through Disney Plus in the US as long as you've got that, as it will be going through that Hulu subscription. It's a very complicated way of doing it, but I think this is the way that they can. And I would also say this is a good way of that they are setting the tone and the story that Hulu is going to be coming into Disney Plus, so that when this happens, we'll have known about it for 4 to 6 months, so it will be much more bigger. Kelly says the Hulu negotiations do take two to tango. That's why the CNBC's Alex Sherman mentioned the Hulu situation with Comcast top priority when asked about when Endeavor brought WWE. They do. Comcast is going to want that money. They're going to want, if you're going to be given, now they could get up to $9 billion at the top end, but I don't know if I was reading through the contract that they put out on the press release, and over the years, if they've not been investing in it, their stock, the value might go down to $5.5 billion. So it might not be quite the full $9 billion, but yeah, they got a lot of money unless they take over Hulu Live TV, because that's something else that could happen. Tom says, I don't know about the Hulu name. It's very well known in the US, but at the same time, Disney might want to have unified global branding. Yeah, I think it would probably make it a lot easier internationally for them just to drop the star branding. That would probably be the easier way and just say it's on Disney Plus. We get that already. We see that with just trying to think here. Let's see if I can see it. I'm going to just bring up a window here where I can see. I'll just bring up. Yeah, see, there is a kind of thing here, just in general, with how they do it. I'm just going to bring up something here. Link. Right, so I'm just going to share this image now. So here, I'm just going to get rid of this. And get rid of the banner. So you can see here, this is how this advert at the minute is for the full Monty here in the UK. So this is the app poster. No mention of Star. That they don't mention Star. It is just on Disney Plus. So that is what I suspect we're going to see more of here internationally. And they've been doing it already. This will be the way of kind of maybe not using that Star brand. They can kind of do a remodel and go, oh, we're changing it all, and the Star brand kind of disappears. Maybe for most of people, because you can see there that's kind of a good way of kind of doing it. Right, so I'm going to just jump in now and try and get through some of these pre-done questions. I know the live chat, they've got loads of live questions, so keep sending them in. I will try and get to as many as I can. Dana says, would you agree that the one app experience, the US version, will be like the international Disney Plus, where Hulu will be our star with all of our general entertainment? I think it's very much more likely that you could just click on Hulu and then it goes into it and it opens up into more hubs. That might be one way of doing it. Or you just have the hubs, and if you are a Hulu subscriber, it just all unlocks. That it could go either way. So there's two ways of looking at this one. Maud said, with Disney possibly including Hulu third party and Hotstar content onto Disney Plus, what brand would those content fall into after combining the apps? I wouldn't be at all surprised if Hotstar just becomes its own little hub. That could be a way of it. Third party might be a good way of having like a Hulu hub, and then inside of that you then have like Fox. The question is going to be are they going to get all that third party content in there, or are they going to get rid of a lot of it over the summer? That is a key thing. Mama says, with Disney keeping Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu services separate after the combined launch at the end of 2023, what will it be like Warner Brothers Discovery is doing with both Max and Discovery? Very similar, but the key thing is, I think they've been finding that Discovery Plus is profitable and it has got subscribers, and they don't necessarily want to annoy them. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Discovery Plus eventually merges in properly, when maybe enough people get into it and enough people they can convince people to upgrade to it. It's easier. It might be easier for them to upgrade to it once it's fully operational. But the Disney situation is slightly more complicated because they only own 2/3 of Hulu, so that's always a little bit tricky. Tim says, with Disney Plus merging and Hulu merging into one app with the Star rebrand get ready. So we did that one. Matt says, with the writers' strike, do you think Disney Plus would get more legacy content? I hope so. It would be nice if the strike goes on really long, goes on past maybe 3-4 months. Legacy content is going to be more required to kind of help fill in the boost. However, we're in the mode now that Disney want money from Disney Plus. They are not going to be wanting to add some random show from the 1980s or some random film from the 1970s that is just going to sit there and nobody's going to watch it. They have to put on stuff that's good and that people are going to watch it. They're paying stuff. They've got to pay for this stuff. And that is why we're not seeing a lot of library content on there. They are going to be removing content. Anything that's not being watched is probably going to be more at risk. And then once they add in the Hulu content, you're going to really start seeing that they don't need to be so reliant on it. But I love their two ads. I would love them to add some more content. But this whole Hulu thing this week is just thrown, as I said, the rule book is out the window. Bubba says, what do you think will happen when the Disney-Sony deal ends in 2026? Ultimately, if they don't re-sign it, then the movies will just eventually will be leaving as and when they expire. Lady Jennifer Snow said, with Disney and Hulu and ESPN merging into one service by the end of the year, what shows do you think will have a higher probability of being removed? So, cancelled shows. So things like Alaska Daily, The Company You Keep, anything like that has been cancelled recently is probably very high risk. If you haven't seen them yet and you want to watch them, or you are currently in the middle of watching them, watch them as quickly as you can, because I wouldn't like to guarantee that they're still going to be there in 6 months' time or even 3 months' time. So I think we've got like a couple of episodes left of season 3 of Big Sky. So I want to get them out the way. I don't even know if The Company You Keep will even arrive here in the UK. It hasn't arrived yet. So things like Kindred, things like some of that, like Kindred might go. Some of those other big shows might disappear. I think third-party content that's costing them money, I could see a bit of a slice with the anime anything that's maybe coming up to be a contract that they want to get rid of. They might have done some deals with Discovery or with CBS or anything else to kind of end their contract early, and that's why they're going to be doing. That's why it's going to be costing them nearly $2 billion to write some stuff off. So that might be a way of them kind of getting. They're going to want to start getting rid of stuff. So this is very tricky. Mamo says, with Disney combining both Disney Plus and Hulu apps at the end of 2023, how do you think the new Disney Plus app will look, and will it include Hulu Live next day releases for networks? So really, in terms of next day episode, I think you're basically going to look at what arrives on Hulu now will be available within Disney Plus. I mean, the same way that if you're on Hulu and you want to you can access HBO and Showtime and Starz content through Hulu. I suspect it's going to basically would work a little bit like that. Let's jump back into the live chat. So a huge thank you to Lady Jennifer Snow for your super chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. Do you think we'll get more clarification on Hulu at this Disney upfront on May the 17th? And will you be covering the news when that comes out of the upfront? Yes, so we got the upfront coming up. I believe it is on. Is it on the 17th? I thought it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. Yes, it's on Wednesday. So we'll be covering the news that comes out of it. I suspect we will get some more clarification. Also this week, the Disney CFO, Christine McCarthy, is taking part in like a Morgan Stanley press conference kind of conversation thing I think it's on Tuesday. And so she was the one that delivered all the bad news about the streaming services kind of cutting stuff. So between that and the upfronts, I'm hoping we are going to find out some more information on how all of this is working. I still think it's a little bit, maybe they're just waiting for the Hulu stuff. But yeah, I suspect by the end of the week, we will probably know a little bit more of how all of this goes on. Thank you very much to John Patrick Van Bout. Thank you very much for becoming a member. And thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much for that. That is really appreciated. Thank you very much for the $5. That is fantastic. Right, I'm just going to go back up and jump back into some of the live questions. Tom says, at least now we'll have all the Nat Geo stuff on Disney Plus. Yeah, they've been removing a lot of stuff lately, or moving it onto Hulu. Once we kind of get all this stuff in together, it will probably make it a lot easier on National Geographic having everything under one roof. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem a little bit. It's kind of odd. I don't even know if we're going to start seeing more sharing going on between the two. That might be another way of doing it, like we're seeing with like A Small Light and Flaming Hot. We're going to see a lot more of this kind of going on over the next few months to kind of again blur the lines. So that's going to be very interesting to see how this comes together. Ricardo says Disney Plus and Hulu will still be independent apps for a while. Does that mean each app could have the ability to add the other content? So I think Disney Plus will just be Disney Plus, and then you can add on the Hulu content inside of it. Whereas the Hulu will still have to stay separate until Disney buy out Comcast or whatever they decide what they're doing with Hulu Live TV. They might end up making Hulu Live TV its own app. I don't know, because that's the question. Are we going to get Hulu Live TV through Disney Plus, or is that just not something, or is it just going to be the video on demand content? Very hard to know. It's literally, I've got the questions have come out this week. I've got so many questions. Tom says, when will Always Sunny in Philadelphia be on Disney Plus in the UK? So I think it depends on when they're going to be. I think some of them are on Netflix here. On the latest press release for the latest season, it did say on Star Plus internationally. So I'm hoping the new season will go there. But I think here in the UK, they're still locked into an old contract. And some of these old shows, like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that, are very much more harder to do on that one. Tom says, any updates on the next season of Welcome to Wrexham? No, well, they've been filming it because obviously Welcome Wrexham, they did win the league that they were in, so they're going to be promoted in the next season. You got to believe that is going to be the finale of the season. But obviously they've only just finished filming it, so they're going to have to do editing and all the rest of it. I mean, they could have they had that first season out like August this last year. I would imagine they might want to get that one up maybe this year, but it's all going to be down to the editing on that one. So Suna says, so does this mean they're going to be removing Community from Hulu in the next couple of months since they don't own it? Right now, we do not know what they're going to be doing in terms of removals. They're going to be spending a lot of money, nearly $2 billion on write-offs, and not necessarily in the same way as what they've done with like Zaslav's done with Warner Brothers. We don't know quite how this is. Is this contract sign out that they're getting out of, paying to get out of the contracts? I don't know. It's very, very tricky, but at the minute, we just do not know what content is going to be leaving and when. I wouldn't be at all expecting like Marvel or Star Wars or any of the big Disney movies. None of that. They ain't gonna get rid of that because that's the bread and butter. That's what holds the place together. It's the little stuff that they don't have. So Suna says, I think Disney should buy the 33% stake in Comcast. And, yeah, so they're not gonna buy a 33% stake. Yeah, they are gonna buy it. They're pretty much gonna buy it now. The fact that Bob Iger's made out these plans for Hulu, that says to pretty much everyone they are going for it now, and they also puts the future of Hulu, like of where it's going, a little bit easier. Joshua says, I think with Comcast, the floor is $9 billion, but as you say, if they've not invested, then I imagine they'll be offsetting it. It's possible that Disney could be paying more for Hulk and park rights. It'd be great if they were putting that in there, and that there would. I think the trouble is with the park rights is that only really worked when Disney were trying to sell it to Comcast in some way, because Comcast could have spent less by giving them the rights, but now it's going to go the other way. That doesn't necessarily work in the same thing. I don't know. I think right now I wouldn't be at all surprised if the park rights and stuff are not happening in the way it's going on. But I do think I was reading it does the Hulu value does depreciate if they're not investing in originals and stuff. So I think the only original I think they've put in money for, I think, was Candy. That was the only one I can think of recently that they've done. Tom says, with the merger, will we get a leaving soon section? I think they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to give us a clear indication of what's leaving, especially if we always got that with Hulu anyway, but with Disney Plus, they less needed to do it. But they are going to have to do this now more regularly. Tom says, I did notice the other day I rewatched an episode of Only Murders in the Building, and the original bit before the episode wasn't there. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. So thank you again, John. Thank you so much for your super chat. That's fantastic. So now let's go jump back into some of the pre-done questions. Feel free to keep sending in questions. It's going to be I'm planning on at least another half an hour plus at least of this. We'll go till at least, we're going to go for at least another 35 minutes at the minimum. My camera keeps kind of fuzzing in and out. I think it's Grogu. I think it gets a bit confused with who's on screen here. Come on. Right, there we go. Auto zoom on me. Right, so Daniel says, with Hulu merging with the Disney Plus app, when that happens, will you be reporting Hulu titles arriving when discussing what's coming to Disney Plus in the US, like how you do it for Disney Plus Star? Yeah. So, I mean, this was actually, it's kind of funny. I'd been thinking of doing something a little bit like this anyway with the Hulu content. Because the branding is getting so much more. So it's kind of interesting. The Hulu, I've been doing a lot of reporting on Hulu pretty much for the last 2+ years since the addition of Star, because most of the Hulu originals, all the press releases and stuff, I do cover that anyway. And I talk about the trailers and stuff. So it's not much of a stretch. But essentially, once Hulu is within Disney Plus in the US, I will be covering it in full. It will just be part of my coverage. That'll be treating it exactly the same. Once it's inside the US app, I will be classing it as how I word it. It might be something along the lines of, I don't know how it's going to work by then, but yeah, there is going to be more Hulu coverage. It's fantastic for because I'm really hoping it kind of clears up the confusion a little bit more. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, we already cover most. Well, say we cover most of it, but like the daily updates on what's on Hulu. I whether or not I start that a little bit earlier, I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. It's just trying to get some information before, but there is going to be a lot more coverage with all of that, so that's definitely a good thing. Tom says, do you think Disney should work with Aardman Movies more and distribute some of their films? For example, Chicken Run 2 is about to come out later this year. Well, I think it depends on who. I think Chicken Run 2 is Sony, I think it is. So it depends on who's got. Aardman might have a deal that already is in place, but I don't think Disney needs to work with. I mean, they could do, but I don't know if they need to. Tom says, how come Disney can do a streaming bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN, but Comcast can't do it with Peacock and Hulu? Because they only own 33%, and they aren't actually running Hulu. That's the key thing there, is Comcast doesn't have the running power of it. Babak says, do you think people will only use Hulu or ESPN will want to switch over to the Disney Plus app? I don't know. I think that's why these apps are still going to be running as they are, and that's going to be obviously a way of doing it. I think it always going to make sense to have ESPN Plus as a separate app, and then you can access it within Disney Plus. I think that always made sense. I would imagine even if I don't think they can merge ESPN Plus and Disney Plus in the same faction, because the cost would then be astronomical. But Hulu, I think they'll get people over. It'll be easier to get people over to it eventually. And I think that's going to be the key way of doing it. Daniel says, do you think the only reason Hulu is keeping it as a standalone edition is to be merged is because they haven't fully brought out Hulu yet? I'm thinking they will sunset the solo apps. Well, I think they will end up once they brought Comcast stake out. I would imagine at some point the Hulu app will be sunsetted and it will just merge in, unless they decide to keep Hulu app separately for the live TV, or if they sell that bit off, or if they close it down. I mean, it's very tricky. I mean, they've just signed a new deal, I think, with PBS for live TV, and as they've sold it, I don't know. It's very, very tricky. Let's jump back now into the live comments. Kelly said, I suggest color coding Hulu titles in green and Disney Plus titles in blue in the US articles. Yeah, that's probably not and red for ESPN. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of experimenting, see how this goes. It's like ESPN. It's gonna be interesting. The ESPN stuff's a little bit more interesting for me. I've been covering like the documentaries and stuff generally coming out. I don't tend to mention them in the videos because I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I play NFL Madden on the Xbox, but that's about as really much as knowledge as I know. I know more about the Mighty Ducks than any other team, like hockey. So ESPN's going to be a little bit tricky, but yeah, I'm going to have to come up with new ways of presenting. I'm also, the formats and stuff. There's going to be some changes in terms of some of the stuff, or to give you guys the best content I can and to make it more easy. Whether or not the US list might not be as, I might change the format a little bit once once the Hulu stuff comes in, because there's going to be so much more of it. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see a little bit, see how it comes in. But yes, it's going to be very interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this works. John says, I heard about the Disney Plus hub for Hulu. What does that mean for shows like old shows like Family Matters, Golden Girls, Smallville, and other shows with Hulu merging with Disney Plus? So first, Golden Girls is easy because that one's actually owned by Disney, so therefore you could expect to access that through Disney Plus. Smallville, great show. I love it. I did watch all of it, but are they going to want that in Disney Plus? Are they going to happy to pay for it? Or are they going to, is this going to be one of the shows that they jettison? Are they going to get rid of all the licensed content? We don't know. We don't know how this is all going to work, but Disney are trying to save costs, and spending money on these contracts might be a way of them getting out of doing stuff. Matt says, are they going to launch Disney Plus in more countries this year? They have not announced any countries they're going to plan on launching. I know they've still got a lot of countries in Africa. They've got lots of countries, so like Vietnam and stuff, still need to go. The trouble is, launching in other countries costs money, and right now they are trying not to spend anything. So that's definitely an issue. Let's see what we get. Matt says, do you think we'll more hubs when they add Hulu? I imagine they're gonna have to there'll be a completely new redesigned version of Disney Plus with this new system, and that's going to be complete change. So how we're probably, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I mean, if you look at for example, with like now, if you look here at like Hulu, I mean, there is lots of different hubs. So the question is, but as you can see, a lot of these aren't owned by Disney. So the question is how many of these are going to carry on. So that's always a bit of an issue with all this. But yeah. John says, I keep hearing about a Hulu hub on Disney Plus. They might do it as a Hulu hub. I mean, it's like I said, what they could do is here in the UK, you've got the star button. I mean, it's not hard to imagine that you just press that and that's the Hulu tab. And this is just Hulu. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be designed a lot better than this, because this is like a couple of years old, and but this essentially could be a very simple way. But they've been working on this new version of Disney Plus, I think, for a couple of years, since at least last year. So I'd imagine it's going to be a little bit better than this. But this, maybe you just click on this and it brings up the Hulu tab, and this is all the Hulu content, and that is their way of kind of doing it. That could be an easy way of doing it, I suppose. Tom says, do you think Marvel will always be the most popular brand? I think it's going to be one of the most popular. The question is it the most popular? Because like here in the UK, you very, very easily could say that let's go down here and see what we've got here. Where's the trending tab? It was here this morning. Where is it? Here. So here's the trending tab here in the UK. So again, this is a little bit of a preview for our American folks of what Disney Plus looks like when they add everything in from that they own. So Star, Disney, and then we got Star Wars, Marvel. Marvel's probably only got 2 things in there. So I would say Star is actually probably the most popular hub here in the UK. There is just, people are just watching so much more of it. There's just so much more on there. Ricardo says, this whole news means Disney is actually wanting to acquire the rest of the stakes in Hulu. Yeah, I imagine that's how that's going to work. I think that's definitely going to be a case of how they're going to do it. Ryan says, going for a walk. I will miss the live chat. Enjoy your walk. Enjoy that one. Right. I'm going to do a super chat here. Thank you very much to Uniloud Entertainment. Thank you very much. Disney, he said, or they say, if Disney removed cancelled shows or new shows on Disney Plus, just like HBO Max or Paramount Plus does. Right, so last year, Disney actually did a purge, and they got rid of a whole host of shows that they previously cancelled. Things like Queens were gone. I don't know if Next was one of them. They went on a rampage here in the UK. They got rid of about 300 to 500 items disappeared from Disney Plus over the case of a couple of months. They didn't tell anybody. They just started removing them, and all it was down to was for business needs. That was the word that I got. It was for business needs. And so there is always this kind of thing of, the cancelled shows are much more likely to be gone, because essentially when Disney are still going to be paying the people that created it and the people that starred in it, the residuals. And this is the key thing. This is what all the writing strike is about right now, is how much the companies get, how much they get paid for the residuals from streaming. That's what the whole writers strike is primarily, is one of the big reasons, not the main reason, but it's a big one. And so by removing some of the shows that people aren't watching in high enough numbers, they can reduce their costs, because those costs they're paying them for, but people aren't watching. They're going to keep the shows that people are watching because it brings in money and it makes money. But it's very tricky with shows that, like Kindred, FX Kindred, that's been cancelled, or now we've got like Alaska Daily. Are people going to watch them? And while we would like Disney Plus to be a place for them to have all the content that we like, it costs money. And I think we all need to change our mindset that Disney Plus and other streaming services, they are not our personal libraries. They are not a museum. They are not a place where all of the content that these studios ever make, this is where it's going to be. These are not safe in some ways. This is not, if you want to have a copy of a film and you want to own it, the only way you're going to be able to do that is on physical media. Well, a lot of these new shows aren't being released on physical media. Even digital media is still at risk. They can close down a store and stuff. So it's very interesting. But I would imagine that, I don't think they're going to be going down the same line as they've done, but they've done it in the past. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw them being removed. Again, huge thank you to John for your super chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. Again, that's fantastic. Right, I'm just going to jump back now into the questions and carry on with the pre-done ones. Kelly says, now that Disney has announced all of the apps will be in one shop, what's the fate of Hulu Live TV? And also, will there be a new UI as expanding pillars to help the declutter? So let's do the second bit first, because I think that's a bit easier. I'm 100% sure that we're going to end up seeing a new version of Disney Plus, because this is what happens when you put all of this into one big hub. The Star Hub becomes absolutely almost if you want to watch the big new shows and the main shows that everyone's watching, you're fine. All the big hitters are here. But if you're trying to find random movies, I mean, like if I go here, like here into the search, so let's go into our collection section here. We need more collections. We need more ways of finding content, because there's just not enough of them. So you got the big brands here. They're easy to find, but let's just take horror films. So we click on the horror section. This might show you some different movies, but even that, it's not a huge collection here of. It could be a much better way of doing it. I do think we're definitely going to see a new UI version. As far as Hulu Live TV, that for me is the big question of how is that going to work with Disney Plus? How does that work going forward? Because I view like live television, the live TV thing, that is a business that is just going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller as more and more people cut the cord. People don't need that kind of content. So if you've got an aerial or satellite, you're going to need that live feed and that cost that they're charging. I would not be, if it depends really. It is a bit of a profitable business, but it's going to get harder and harder. Will they sell that onto somebody else to take over? Will they just sunset it because it's not costing? Or are they just going to keep that legacy thing going for a while? It's going to be very tricky to see what they do with Hulu Live TV. It's a little bit. This is why the whole merger it's so much more complicated, because it's not. When they launched Star here in the UK, we had nothing. We didn't have it, so it was so much easier for them to bring it in because we didn't have anything. Gavin says, with the merger of Hulu into Disney Plus, what would happen to those international accounts that have Star and visit in the US? Will we get to see the Hulu content like we currently do? Right. Honestly, I don't know. And this is for me where I was like, yep, I have had the exact same thought of going, how is this going to work? Are they going to end up with, is Disney Plus in the US going to have a totally separate app to the rest of the world? So the rest of the world can't access it? Is it going to be the same thing? So if we go on holiday, to Florida and we've gone on our holidays, are we going to be able to watch Disney Plus? Because, I've been to countries and there's, the Disney Plus is not there, so you can't access it. Or even if you go to a country like with the Hotstar X, gonna give it to you app, you can't get in. But they're changing it a little bit. They're starting to put the username and password. So I think we might see a little bit more of a combination. But yes, that is a big question. That's definitely a big question. Babak says, could the Hulu rebranding rebrand start internationally since it's more well known? I think we're probably going to see I think the Star branding is going to probably start being used less. I mean, even more so less than here in the UK. None of the advertising includes Hulu, includes Star. I think they're probably going to end up removing it because it's probably easier to do it. And also, it's going to be easier internationally now with once the US put it in system. Because if you want to watch, I don't know, the full Monty in a few months' time, if an American sees that it says that it's on Disney Plus, and you go into Disney Plus, it might say you need to have a Hulu subscription to get into it or the bundle, but at least it will be in there. So it'll be a lot easier. So less confusion. All right, so I'm going to jump back into the live chat. Like I said, we got a lot of questions. We're going to keep going on. Here we are. Right, let's see what we've got. Some people, Babak says, some people are saying that Disney are going to sell Hulu after Disney Plus merge and Hulu. Well, they're not. They can't really. They are not going to be able to sell it once they merge it in because you then can't do that. But I wouldn't be at all surprised. But they could sell Hulu Live TV to somebody else to run. Maybe Comcast could have that as their little thing, and then they run it separately and they rebrand it to Peacock Live TV. That could be something. But the Hulu, once it's going, the Hulu brand probably going to be staying with them. Tom says, as they are going to reduce the production of content, that they will be able to afford to keep more things on Disney Plus. I'd hope so. They want a more curated list. I think they realized, and I think we could, if those of us internationally that have Disney Plus probably could tell that they have been firing out so much stuff. So if I bring up here on Disney Plus here, so here in the UK, for example, this is what we're getting, so we had Not Dead Yet, and you had Taste the Nation this past week, and then you're getting new episodes of A Small Light. We're getting new episodes of How I Met Your Father. We're getting new episodes of other shows as well. We're getting all of these new shows coming in, NCIS. You're also getting things like Grey's Anatomy, Night Station 19, 911, Family Guy, The Simpsons. You get all the National Geographic. It's so much. And they don't need, and as much as it's great as having all of this content, it's like with Alaska Daily and the Big Sky stuff. In all reality, they do not need that content to be on there because they're going to have so much content. The ABC network probably still needs television, but who's to say that they don't start you can start taking some of the Hulu shows and start actually just putting them out on linear as well. So it's going to be very tricky how this all comes together. John says, is the 4th High School Musical series still happening? Yes, I believe it's still set to come out later this year. Tom says, has the Vision show been confirmed yet? So I did an article this morning. It is on the Writers Guild of Association's website stating that it is underway. No official confirmation, nothing from Marvel. But then officially, we don't know Wonder Man is happening, and that's been filming as of now. They are playing their cards much closer to their chests. I think they got burnt with announcing stuff way too early when it wasn't ready. And the endless logos is a problem. They've suffered, I think, from being a little bit too trigger happy with doing that. So I think that's very, very tricky. Lester says, after Hulu is sold to Disney, do you think an international rollout with the same content available across geographic locations that weren't available before? Well, most of this content already is from Hulu is already on Disney Plus internationally anyway. Pretty much most of the originals. Any Hulu original that isn't, generally maybe they've only got US rights for. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we started seeing maybe some of the Hotstar content, because that's not been available internationally. It does free things up a little bit more, maybe, but it's going to be hard to see what's happening. Matt says, I think Avatar 2 will be on Disney Plus in July. I think it's kept. It wouldn't be too surprised if it was June, because there seems to be some word of a Blu-ray release, so that might tie in with it. So, but yeah, July could be it. July, what else would we have in July? So that could be maybe Cavalier. Might be a little bit too early, but because even that I could see them popping on there. Kayla said, I realized that Bianca and Montel's reality show on Hulu will be accessible on Disney Plus, as well as next day WWE rights until September 2024. I could see the former releasing on Disney Plus internationally. Yeah, I think the reality TV show is probably more likely going to end up being like a Hulu/Star original globally. The TV rights for SmackDown and Raw. This is where things get very tricky with Hulu, and this one might be why it's going to be like a separate app for a while they sort all of this stuff out, because it's not just so much. It's not as easy as we would like it to be. And then maybe this time, maybe in like next winter, not this winter, but next winter, they can do a proper merger, but it's very, very tricky. Very, very tricky. John says, will people see any difference with Hulu, even though a lot pay for Hulu subscription already? I think you're going to find on Hulu that they're going to be probably trying to slide you over to Disney Plus to use it. I think that will be happening a little bit. There'll be probably lots of prompts, because they're putting a lot of the Disney Plus stuff on there already. To me, it feels like they're trying to get the Hulu people used to the idea that Disney Plus is coming in. We're going to see probably more like blending, but it depends on all the licensed content. It's going to be tricky. But I think the key thing is you're going to be in Disney Plus, and you're going to be flicking through, and if you've got the bundle, and you see Family Guy or Modern Family sat there next to like The Simpsons, and you click it and you're watching it within the app, you're going to be like, oh, this is great. You'll be quite happy with it. Big thank you to John for your super chat. Thank you so much for all of your super chats, because that's been fantastic. So Suna says, is NCIS coming in the US after the merger happens? Probably not. I think here in the UK, we only got it because Fox TV had the rights to it when Disney brought it, and so therefore that's why we got it. So that's why that is. Right, let's carry on with some of the pre-done questions. So we're getting through them. Right. Daniel says, do you think when you go to the Hulu tile on Disney Plus that the page will look similar to the Star page, or do you think it'll be expanded? I'm assuming it won't take you to the Hulu app. No, so when you're going to be going in there, you're going to be seeing, I suspect, all the content is like built into Disney Plus so you'll be watching it within Disney Plus. So I suspect there's even going to be I would imagine it's going to go one of two ways. There's either a Hulu tab and you click in it, and then it expands out with more hubs and more collections and more networks, and it's its own like separate section that you know where it's in. But maybe the homepage opens up to have everything. When you search, it will show you everything. When you click on movies, it will show you everything. And then if you haven't got it, it will just either say get a Hulu subscription, and so because they can upsell you that way. So that's how I don't think you're not going to just click on Hulu and then it opens up the Hulu app, because that would be completely pointless. Daniel says, do you think we will see non-Disney owned Hulu shows like Animaniacs on the merged app? Tricky. They do put Hulu, they do put licensed stuff on Disney on around the world, so it's not like they're opposed to doing it. So it could be on there, but also this might be a way that they might be able to say to, like, I think Warner Brothers, and be like, look, maybe they're going to do a deal to kind of get rid of all of this stuff at once. I don't know. Warner Brothers, they all like having each other's money at the minute. Connor says, as part of the integration of ESPN Plus and Hulu, do you see some UI improvement happenings? Do you think Disney will eventually expand Hulu's next day streaming to Disney Channel? No. Disney Channel was now all in on Disney Plus. They are now the new next on Disney. You can see the way that they're using. We're going to see more of this as a way of, we're going to see a little bit more stuff moving together. So I would imagine like Disney is going to go straight to Disney Plus. They've already started doing it, and I suspect we're going to see a lot more of this happening, like maybe with National Geographic and stuff as we move forward. As things become very muddy, but they also need to make things more clearer. Babek says, could live TV come to Disney Plus, or will they keep it that separate? My gut instinct is that they're going to keep it separate. Connor says, what do you think the eventual fate of Hulu Live TV function will be? I think they're either going to sell it or close it down at some point. I think at a certain point, it will reach a point where it is not financially viable. At the minute it is, but linear television is dying. Babak says, do you think Disney will move over adult content to Hulu side and make their Disney Plus their core brand like Marvel, Star Wars? No, I think the idea really is to have, when they move in the Hulu stuff, it's more to offer the general entertainment stuff within Disney Plus. The simple thing is, you're going to be in Disney Plus and you're going to be seeing all of this content like How I Met Your Father and stuff within the app, and you're going to see it all merged in together. If you are a subscriber or if you've got a profile with the right age, there's probably going to be some settings to change it a little bit for kids and stuff. So if you're in a kids account, you're not going to see this stuff. I know a lot of people get a little bit funny over the fact of, so if I know I removed that app. I thought I had one, but I got rid of it. Danny says, will we see collections added to Disney Plus in the US geared towards more general entertainment, such as true crime, the ones that are on? Right, let's bring up this so you guys can see it. So if I click here on search and I click on all collections, so they've already got them interconnected here. And so if I click here on action and adventure, so they've already got these already in place on Disney Plus. So I suspect you're just going to see stuff all mixed in together. You've got here like Gannibal and Kindred, right? Right here next to Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I think you're going to see these kind of basically running out everywhere. But I'd like to have some more of them. I think we're definitely going to see some more stuff once everything's all in one. Because the whole idea of it is they want you in one app. They want you in one place, and you have everything from them. That's what they want you to do. Right, 2 more last done questions, and then we're going to be live for the rest of the show. So Matt says, do you think when Disney Plus and Hulu merge, we will see releases globally at the same time? I think it makes it a little bit easier, but there's always going to be some issues, I think, with that, with dubbing and licensing. But also there's another good thing. If they reduce the amount of content they're making, it should hopefully free them up, their international teams up better to get them ready quicker. If you see that kind of thing, if they're trying to put 25 shows through their dubbing and subtitle things, if they're only putting 15 through, it should be easier for them. So I'm hoping we get to see a better rollout. Tim says, when is the ESPN hub coming to Disney Plus? As we have watched ESPN Plus here in Australia via the ESPN website, and when we have to sign in with our TV providers, it'll be great to have it in Disney Plus. Internationally, ESPN Plus is a mess. Here in the UK and across Europe and Middle East and Africa, we have the ESPN Player, which I think is actually run by Endeavor, who just bought the WWE. So I don't know what's going on with that contract. In Latin America, it's all the sports go through Star Plus. You got ESPN Watch, ESPN now, obviously in Australia. In Canada, I believe it's TSN or something like that. That Disney doesn't own the full percent of it, but there's a Canadian sports network, which is basically their version of ESPN. So they couldn't add it in. So ESPN's a whole other thing. But now that that's its own separate company or a separate division, I suspect that's going to start clearing up some of those problems as well. Right, so that was all of the pre-done questions. I'm going to be honest, it was the longest list I've ever seen. It was just I logged in this morning and checked, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of questions there. So I wanted to make sure today I got through them all. And so we'll now be just jumping in and doing some more live questions. I've been staying in, another 10, 15 minutes. I planned on this one being a long show. I knew there's going to be lots of questions. So feel free. We're good to go. Right. Kaylee said, as someone who's currently a Hulu subscriber with live TV, the emphasis more on live TV and less of the on-demand pretty much tells me that the on-demand content is for Disney Plus. I think that would be a good way of doing it, whereas Disney Plus becomes the VOD and Hulu becomes the live TV. Maybe Hulu live TV with the FAST network might be their way of doing it, but yeah, gonna be interesting. So Suna says, what shows do you think they will be removed from Disney Plus in the next couple of months? Right. So I don't know any of this, but so based just purely on my guesses. So if I was to have a guess, I'm just thinking of what some of these ones might be. So maybe some of the cancelled shows. So maybe the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, Diary of a Future President, The Right Stuff, Big Shot, Shop Class, Big Fib. Those might be like, if I was to be shooting some of the stuff off of Disney Plus, those might be where I'd be like the first to target. They might just they've been trimming off National Geographic stuff already. I am still believing that most of the content that they're going to be removing is from Hulu. I feel like that's where if they want to get this onto Disney Plus, they're going to want to reduce the amount of stuff that's on there. There is so much stuff on Hulu that I really feel like if they said that they're going to be spending nearly $2 billion on this, what's on Disney Plus to get rid of that amount? You could get rid of a few, like, yeah, we might lose, I don't know, 50, 100 titles that people aren't watching. Yeah. But they ain't gonna count up to 2 billion. It's got to be the Hulu stuff, because I don't see in the US what they've got value of. Obviously, internationally, we could end up seeing those shows going. So maybe like Alaska Daily, those kind of shows could be just gone globally, but they've already done that last year. Kenneth says, in regards to content removal, I could see Hulu removing the remainder of the CNBC and the CBS stuff. And going back to that, I definitely 100% agree with that one. Maybe also throw in like the Warner Brothers Discovery stuff. I don't know about the Fox, because they've only just signed a new deal with Fox, so that would be very tricky for them to do. But I imagine we're going to see some of the stuff going back. Maybe some of the anime, maybe some of the Hotstar content. They might start trimming that out. Baba Trolling, I wonder what the founder group will say. Yep. So Suna says, are they going to keep shows like Boys Meets World on Disney Plus after the merger? I'd imagine if people are watching it, they're going to keep these stuff. They're still going to want to keep Disney Plus. They still need to keep people activated in there. I think the trouble is a lot of the terminology being used on, and I wouldn't necessarily say clickbait. It's just the fact that when people see the word content being removed from Disney streaming services, so many people do not think of Hulu as Disney, and so therefore their instant mind went to Disney Plus. Well, they get rid of the Marvel shows and the Star Wars stuff. Like, no, it was very generic, and they're going to get rid of a load of stuff off of Hotstar, and there's a load of stuff that they might be getting rid of. But the kind of the wording and the way it was presented was Disney are going to be writing off nearly $2 billion worth of stuff and removing content. But yeah, people just added in the plus, and it's kind of a little bit out of whack from where that is. Tom says, I think they might have the 5 core brands listed and then a 6th tile with more brands that will open when you. I think that would make a lot of sense for them to do that, and I don't know, but at the same time, they might need to do like a bridging step for Disney Plus in the US, where they have the Hulu hub, and then you expand into it with the extra hubs and the extra collections, so that you become used to it, like they did with Star here. I think we're at a point now internationally where they could get rid of the Star branding and just have the hubs, and we don't necessarily need. Star kind of works for the international and kind of the throw everything in it, but maybe rebrand that Hulu. I mean, that might be a way of getting around it. John says, what will happen with classic movies from Disney with Hulu going onto Disney Plus later this year? Do they plan on removing them? I suspect I know that they've been sharing a lot of stuff between Hulu and Disney Plus lately. I suspect they probably will start removing the stuff from Hulu to try and get you to have the bundle. All right. Barbara Trolling says, what is going to happen to Star Plus? Oh, very good question. Very good question, because the only thing is, I think Star Plus was a little bit of an experiment. I think Disney have been doing experiments to work out what's been going on. We had Disney Plus Hotstar in India, where they had everything all in one: sports, entertainment, and everything. The rest of the world had Disney Plus with Star, where we didn't have the sports. And then in Latin America, they've had 2 separate apps, sports and general entertainment together, and Disney Plus on its own. I am hoping that at some point in the future, they will announce that they are just going to sort this out, because I feel like they're at a point now where we need some consolidation. It kind of makes the entire point of, I mean, you think of there was all these lawsuits in Latin America of Disney and Lionsgate over the Star brand, and we could, in theory, be in a few years' time, and there's no Stars Plus because that's now sorted, and Stars Play became Lionsgate Plus, and that's then shut down, or sold off. Yeah, might not even be an issue, but I suspect it will get fixed. I think there will be consolidation. I wouldn't be at all surprised if like ESPN Plus relaunches in Latin America, because I view it more as like the ESPN is going to be its own separate division now, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Kind of, I think we're going to see just some globally, some just consolidation to make things a little bit more simpler. Kelly says, Bubba trolling. I imagine Disney is waiting to see how a combined Disney Plus with Hulu will work, so that they'll do a combined Disney Plus and Star in Latin America. I actually also think Star Plus is the live test site. I think they've been testing. I think because apparently they've been working on the new Hulu Disney Plus version since last year, and I think they've been. I've heard from a few people that they've been doing lots of tests on Star Plus. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the live test bed to see if stuff was happening. So yeah. Tom says, do you think legacy content will be removed, or even the original versions of remakes like they've done with original White Men Can't Jump? I don't think they're not going to get rid of popular shows. They're not going to get rid of popular movies in that way. I think this is the key thing. It is the random movie that is costing them money in residuals that nobody is watching. Because I feel like when they went through and did the Cull last winter on Disney Plus, there was a whole host of those movies I had never heard of. And probably most people didn't really know. Yeah, when they remove things like The Sound of Music or Avatar, you get that like, what are you getting rid of them for? But if you get rid of some random movie that 99% of people have got no idea what it is, it doesn't make a lot of noise. And I think we are at a point of we're going to get, we are going to see more removals. I would love them to at least still be available to buy or rent on a digital platform if they remove them. We are going to have to get our heads around the fact that content on streaming services is going to be much more, and I like to say it's like a mobile library. The libraries that go around, you around and park up and you visit them. They have all the best stuff. They have all the big popular films, and they have the new releases, and they have some classics. But they are not the the Museum of London or the Museum in Luxor, where they have every single book of all time. Disney Plus is no streaming services like that. That's not what it is. Matt says, what show is for share with Hulu and Disney Plus? So in the last few months, we've been really seeing them like revving up on this. They have been really doing a lot. We've seen A Small Light. We've got Flaming Hot. We saw Rosalind move over. We've seen, I think that will move over again. Things like Love Victor. A lot of stuff's been going to Hulu. Nearly all of the documentaries and the live shows like Elton John, the Olivia Rodrigo one. I think all of this is just the blending to get. So when this happens, and maybe like next year or when they eventually, we're going to be so used to it, it's going to be much more common for all. Also saves them money. So there we go. So I think we have just finished all of the questions, and we've just gone past 8 o'clock. So I think that is probably a very good time to call it on this one. Like I said, so big thank you to everyone that sent in their questions. It has been a fantastic show. So much stuff. I've been wanting to talk about this stuff all week. There is so much great. It really is that kind of thing of like the something's happening, something's moving. We knew 2024 was going to be a great thing for them to do, but it's great now that we know that this is happening and we can kind of move on to it. So patrons and YouTube channel members, thank you so much for your continued support. Keep a lookout. There'll be a post going up later today for more questions for next week's show. Ideally, if you could make them, make them a little bit less news. If you've got a question like favorite film or show, something a little bit more general, that would be great, because I am going to be recording it on Tuesday. So news from later in the week, but I figured I'd do a pre-recorded one since I am going to be going on holiday in the middle of the week, and so there will not be after Thursday or after Wednesday. There will be no news for like a week and a half because I'm going to be away, having a bit of a break. You still get all of the news on the website. I'm still going to be doing all the news on the website while I'm on vacation. I'll still be working a few hours a day, even when I'm on vacation doing all that. But I'm going to be having a bit of a break from it. But next week's one will be pre-taped, and then we'll be live again in 2 weeks. But the pre-taped one will go live at 7 o'clock on the Sunday. So it will be the same time when it goes up. But again, thank you so much. And on that note, I shall see you guys soon. Laters. I found the button. See you later.